I've just had, Jamie Chadwick, a very eventful and totally unpredictable Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, Max Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli sprint qualifying session. Should we deal with Lando Norris first? And kept his head throughout it, changing tyre compounds, and was just quick all the way through. What did you think?
He was, and he's been quick all weekend, all day. It already feels like a weekend. He's been quick all day, but he said in the interview afterwards, make a mistake is impressive. And yeah, he's continuing that form that he had in Mexico. Maybe not quite as dominant, but still a good margin on his teammate.
And was there anything that you saw in terms of Lando's driving that was just assured? Where do you feel he made out that time? Was it in the tight, twisty stuff in the middle?
I think he's got a car that's working, firstly. The McLaren is suited to a track like this. I think the performance advantage they had in FP1, I think, kind of shows that. And I imagine their race pace, if it were dry, would be very competitive. But that said, he didn't make a mistake. He was able to get the most out of it. I think these kind of technical, precise kind of corners where you don't want to overdrive, you don't want to overstep, seems to suit him. Oscar, a couple of little mistakes in there, and that's enough just to let the lap time creep away from him.
Was he buzzing when he spoke to you afterwards? I liked his little hello. Had you not said hello to him throughout the weekend
No,
so far?
I did say hello to him.
He was like, hello, you all right?
No, he seems happy. I mean, he doesn't let himself get carried away. I think that's something that we've seen all year from him. When he's self-critical, he's very self-critical. When he's happy, he's still not elated. But I think he knows deep down that he's got this sort of run of form, and that's the best feeling. He's not having to overthink the way he's driving. He's not having to go into each session trying to sort of squeeze out lap time places that it might not be, and that's a nice, happy place to be for any driver.
Unlike earlier in the season when sometimes he was overthinking his driver, and instead it's Oscar Piastri who's let Kimi Antonelli in to be on the front row with Lando Norris. So what happened to Oscar today?
Well, Oscar, overall, how do you assess that? You looked like, well, you were the fastest McLaren for much of today. That first sector in particular costing you a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the soft just was a bit different to what I expected. A couple of big moments on my first lap, which wasn't ideal, and yeah, that was a bit of a shame, but ultimately I felt much happier today than the last couple of weeks. You know, practice went very well. I think sprint quali changed a few things, which took a bit of getting used to again, but yeah, ultimately pretty happy. You know, would have liked a little bit more, but we can definitely fight with what we've got, and there's obviously a lot more points on Sunday.
Yeah. You've got Kimi between yourself and Lando. Possible weather tomorrow as well. How do you size things up?
It's going to be an interesting day. You know, let's see what weather we get, but yeah, I'll try and take whatever opportunities there are. I think the pace in the car has been really good today, so hopefully that translates to whatever we get.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea, congratulations. Amazingly, that's Lando's first sprint pole of the year, which I didn't quite realize. Let's talk about the difference between the drivers, because was it the fact that Oscar made a mistake on that first lap, maybe a bit safe on the final one?
Well, the drivers have been extremely close in free practice one, extremely close in qualifying. I think that's the story of the entire season, in fairness, between Lando and Oscar. It's good, and it's good that they are close and the car is fast. So it's a good position to start some of the competitive sessions in this sprint weekend. But it's also close with our competition. Mercedes is pretty much there, a matter of milliseconds. Aston, they're doing a good job. With Fernando in particular. Verstappen, we know is Verstappen, is going to be there tomorrow. So I think all the conditions are present for a very entertaining sprint weekend.
When we came away from Austin in Mexico, you know, you guys had some theories around why Oscar was struggling a bit, maybe the higher track temperatures there, a bit more sliding. He's looked more competitive here compared to Lando, hasn't he? That 3-4 tenths gap has gone away. Are you encouraged? I know it's only been one day, but are you encouraged by that?
Well, I think in Austin and in Mexico there were some technical reasons why Oscar, adopting his natural style, was not producing the lap time. We reviewed that already in Mexico after qualifying. Already in the race, Oscar was quite fast. He couldn't prove it because of the traffic. And I think here in Brazil is back to his form. I'm sure he wants to polish 1/10 more. It's a shame he had a little mistake in his first attempt in corner one. Oscar is there. I'm sure it's going to be, like I said before, a very interesting competition this weekend. And also we are in Interlagos, so the weather is always going to be a factor. So in addition to the speed, we'll have to be good with the operation, with the execution, with the strategic calls.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Let's put Martin Brundle, has hot-footed it down from the commentary box on the other side of the start-finish line. Thank you, Martin. Right, let's put the weather aside, because that can change everything and it can change nothing. We'll see what happens. What will please Lando more, the fact that Oscar is only P3 or that Max Verstappen is P6?
I think he'll be satisfied with both of them, but he'll know that there's peril, especially on a wet start here. But I would say McLaren in general will be very happy to see Verstappen complaining about the car and struggling with two Mercedes and an Aston Martin ahead of him as well. So, but I think the drivers have got to that stage of the season where they can't waste any headspace even thinking about that, to be honest. They know they've just got a McLaren here in the rain last year. They glazed their brakes and really struggled in the wet conditions. So that's where their focus will be. You know, there'll be a lot of noise around them, and you've got to beat everybody.
And I suppose inherent in what Andrea Stella was saying there, and I know he'll be thinking it, is, OK, look, we haven't had a sprint race since Austin. Remember what happened in the sprint race in Austin? Not only did that mean no points in Austin, but it also meant that they completely mullered themselves in terms of the setup for the Grand Prix because they had to ride their car up too high and left several tenths of a second in the garage. So he'll be thinking, maybe it's not so bad that Kimi Antonelli, or will he, do you think, is in there, that they can just follow each other maybe through the center S at the start. What do you think?
Maybe. I know ifs, but
well.
I think the weather conditions are going to play a big factor tomorrow. But if the weather's bad, you want to be on the front row, you want to be out front. I think the spray at a circuit like this is significant. If you're Max Verstappen, although he will be a bit of a masterclass in the wet, no doubt, you don't want to be back further behind other cars. I think you want to be out front, and that's where Lando Norris especially can make the biggest difference.
The Mac as well haven't been bad in the wet.
No, generally I think they're okay. We know Max is a bit genius in that he's got more confidence, it seems, than anybody else, especially with the overtakes. But who knows what's going to happen, whether it's a safety car start, for example, whether there's safety cars involved. Visibility, as you point out, Jamie, is going to be critical. So, but I think the drivers, honestly, at this stage, it's straights, lefts and rights. The weather will be what the weather will be. And they've just got to do what they've spent their lives preparing for and drive the racing car. And I think if anything else gets in their head beyond that, you can't second guess what's going to... You live on your wits into the first corner, especially in those conditions. You know, you might be concerned for McLaren, or either McLaren driver, that Kimi Antonelli might be a bit gung-ho to take the lead into the first corner. But you know what? You've got to react to whatever happens when you get there.
OK, well, let's see what's in Kimi Antonelli's head. What a great story from the sprint qualifying. Kimi Antonelli, the 19-year-old now Italian, in second place at the front of the grid with Lando Norris. Here he is.
Kimi, what a lap. Looked like you were right on the edge there, especially out of the penultimate corner. P2 at the end of it. You must be happy with that showing.
Yeah, it was was a good session overall. I think Q1 was a bit scrappy, a bit difficult with traffic, but then we got into our rhythm, and the soft lap was a bit of a shame there in the second to last sector, but still decent lap, P2 for tomorrow, so a lot to fight for.
Splitting the McLarens, of course. So what's your thinking heading into the sprint race tomorrow, what you could be fighting for?
Well, we're going to have to take care of the wind. It's going to rotate quite a lot, so tomorrow we're going to expect quite different condition compared to today. Also, the weather is going to be a bit uncertain, but we'll try to be ready for anything, and hopefully we can do a good race.
Just about a tenth between Kimi Antonelli and Lando Norris. Let's take a look at where those differences were. Now, just up at turn one, Lando's been really good all through qualifying at the center S, and he just gets the car in with a little bit more speed. If I pick that line that we're coming up to there, you can see he's already just pulled a fraction. Now, what also happens is Lando picks up the power a bit earlier, and that gives him drive through the third corner, Curva de Sol, and we'll see there's a line that comes up there at the pit exit. We've just gone past it, a little bit slow. There, you could see, just by picking up the power a bit early, he's pulled that little margin there. So that margin from that early part carries through Desida del Lago. Both drivers, very similar run through there. and then climbing steeply uphill through to Ferradura. I'll just slow it down just to see the line through here. Lando takes a slightly shallower line through. Antonelli goes in a bit, makes a bit of a V, but brings it back, gets the car nice and settled for the braking, for the slower part of this middle sector. And the Mercedes actually looks really hooked up through here. He's getting good rotation. He's able to get the car pivoted very well. And we'll see, I'll tell you what, I'll just go back. There's a little reference here where that road is on the right. And you can see that Antonelli is still a fraction behind as we come up to Pico de Pato turn 10. Now watch here, this is where I think Kimi actually loses a bit of time. Watch there, slides the rear of the car, stepped away from him, and that's cost him a little bit of time there. So I think he actually could have been even closer without that error. Junsao, both drivers, beautiful run, great traction, great drive, same power unit of course in the both of those cars. But I think for Antonelli, just those slight differences up at the Senna S, and then the mistake, slight bit of over-rotation, almost the rear of the car stepping out of line at Pico de Pato. Those are the only two places that cost him pole today, but a fantastic effort to get on the front row for the sprint.
Yeah, say that again. A fantastic effort. And I don't know about you, Martin, Jamie, I've been waiting for a bit of speed from Kimi Antonelli since Miami sprint pole.
Is that kind of just raw speed, that flashes of what I think we've all kind of expected of him this year, that's exciting to see? And it's interesting because similar in a way to Mexico, and he's had good form the last few races, he was nearly out in SQ1. He was down in P15. So I think having the form across a whole race weekend still maybe is something he needs to work on. But yeah, an amazing lap, and he got the most out of it there. Maybe a couple of little things cost him pole, but still up against George Russell to be able to put it on the front row is impressive.
I think he's weathered the storm with the confidence crisis. The team have got him through that. He's had a lot of support from Toto and the gang. He's got Bono in his corner, like Uncle Bono, taking him through the season. So I think he's there now. I'm just realizing that 6 of the top 7 are Mercedes powered. So I'm wondering if in these with the altitude, if Mercedes have kind of aced that out there.
With a bit more of the ERS, maybe, of course, the battery, and that doesn't care how high we are.
Something is suggesting that, I mean, that the Mercedes power unit is very strong around this configuration and this altitude.
George might be a little miffed. Did we see a mistake from him anywhere around there? Or was he just outpaced on pure speed by Kimi?
Saw a couple of mistakes earlier in the session. I'm not sure on his best lap. I think he'll be a bit frustrated seeing where Kimi was, but equally it's so close. There's not much between them that even if it is a tiny mistake, that's enough to be a few positions. So I think he'll take what today was, but no, for tomorrow he wants to be put in that car where it might be able to be on raw pace, which is actually right up at the sharp end.
Okay, well, we didn't see much raw pace from Max Verstappen today. And this when he was coming into the weekend saying we need to be perfect, we need to have a car that is able to win, and then we will win. Only 6th on the grid. Let's get some answers from the 4-time world champion.
Well, Max, we heard you on radio saying that the car felt broken. Was a wrong turn taken from practice? Did it feel significantly worse than the practice session?
No, I mean, yeah, a lot of vibration in the car, a lot of just ride problems. Not what we want, but I mean, besides that, I think also we just don't have the grip. The middle sector is terrible, so just can't get the car to turn, but at the same time also I can't really rely on the rear. So yeah, for us just quite poor, I would say. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the McLarens out in front and some cars between you and them. There is some weather due. Might that help your cause? What do you think?
I don't know. We'll find out, right? I mean, I think it's quite clear that we are lacking something, and I'm not expecting that suddenly to be miles better in the wet, but we'll see tomorrow.
Thank you.
Helmut, can I just ask what happened with Max there? The middle sector of the lap, he loses 0.4 of a second. Doesn't sound very happy on the radio. Any understanding of where the time is?
I mean, if you look sector 1 and 3, we are hundredths away from Norris. And middle sector, there are the most corners. It's basically no grip, which means we don't have enough downforce. And that's something which we can't cure for the sprint race. But hopefully, with all the data we get, we can adapt and make it for the main race that we are more competitive.
But the weather forecast tomorrow seems like it might be, looks raining for the morning. The lower downforce, is that going to be an even bigger issue, obviously, for that?
There we hope for Max, you know. He has to make the difference.
And finally, just in terms of Yuki, obviously out in Q1 there, is that just a knock-on effect of the free practice error and losing track time?
Of course, he was missing track time, and the times are very close, but we expected him to be at least in Q2. Didn't happen, so yeah, that's a fact.
Okay, and you got Supermax here, Brazil. Can he get on the podium from where he's starting tomorrow?
I mean, then it must rain, otherwise no chance.
Thank you.
Increasingly informative, and I guess the real answer to will the fact that you're running a little less downforce, which I noticed on both their cars. I mean, Tsunoda's been all over the place, sadly for him today, but it's running a shallower rear wing noticeably. But the answer is, with less downforce in the wet, yes, it is going to be a problem.
Yeah, especially if there's any standing water, or if you're in the slipstream of other cars, you lose downforce, and just the fluid going underneath the car affects also the downforce compared to some nice clean air. So that's a gamble they take with Max, because they know he can sort of stand up in the seat. But the problem they'll have is if it is a wet day tomorrow, they're not really going to be able to learn anything between now and the Grand Prix on Sunday, which we're expecting to be dry. But of course, it's the longer run that matters then.
They've just got to go. They've got to go for it. Maybe sixth in the rain doesn't matter so much. They'll be feeling it tonight, Red Bull and Max, in a weekend where they need to be perfect. But it's not over yet.
It's not over yet. I think what Red Bull normally do so well is when you have your traditional free practices, they find a way, and they find a way to claw out or wind out any issues that they inherently have, and they'll rectify this issue. They would have found that the low downforce wasn't working and then found a solution, whereas they don't have the time on a weekend like this, and it comes thick and fast. So they're just going to have to dig deep. Max especially, I think, in the wet tomorrow with that setup might be a challenge, but equally I think if they work, if it is dry, at least he might have an opportunity of passing if he's got a bit of straight line speed.
Yeah,
it's an overwhelming smell of burning cheese, isn't there? Starting
perfect.
I'm
right at home.
Over there somewhere.
So it's heaven for me. Get right in it. Right, there's nothing in Formula One that can't be explained through cheese, Martin. You know that
yes,
about
of course.
Me very well.
Or pencils,
so, or pencils, that's right. So, but for Ferrari today, it really was some mozzarella that fell apart. Hear from him and get some answers as to why.
Lewis, sorry to see you missing out on SQ3 there. Fine margins. We saw the yellow flags as well. How much did that impact your final run?
Yeah, it definitely didn't help, but it's not for the lack of trying. We seem like the team thought we were a lot faster than we are. Gave it everything, and that's ultimately what matters most. Is just we just run not quick enough.
It seems like you've really been building momentum over the last few events. So how are you feeling in the car aside from that? Does it still feel like you're moving in the right direction despite what happened at the end there?
It's hard to say that when you're out in Q2, but I do feel like we're working hard. So I mean, there's not really much more I can do. It is what it is.
And looking ahead to the sprint, potential for some rain as well. You've put in some incredible drives here over the years. What's your thinking looking ahead to that?
I'm 11th now, so just have to have some fun from there. I think at this point, it's literally it's just about having fun. It's not going well from my side, my year, and I just have to just enjoy it wherever I am, and that's what I can do.
Thank you, Lewis. Charles, that looked like a tricky session out there. We saw the spin towards the end of SQ2, P8 in SQ3. How do you sum that one up?
Not happy. I mean, the car was very, very slow today. It didn't feel that bad, but we are slow, so we've got something to work on and to try and improve for tomorrow. Unfortunately, my lap in SQ3, the first one was pretty good. I had a rejected upshift in the last straight, so we cost like a 10th and a half. Wouldn't have been much better. I think maybe P7, but tough weekend so far.
Have you already got some clear ideas there? And of course, you can change the car sprint race and qualifying. So
nothing makes me think we are out of place in terms of setup. So I'll try something. Whether it's going to be better or worse, I'm not sure.
And yes, we will see what happens with that. And listen, stewards' decisions will come and go. Let's deal with the two factors about Ferrari. First is constructors, second is Lewis Hamilton. What should we deal with first? Lewis Hamilton. On the radio, he said again, every time. Well, that was it, wasn't it? After SQ2, every time. What is he? I assume he's talking about going out in qualifying earlier than he would have wanted.
It's not the first time we've seen it this year. And it's actually, I think, this weekend, I don't know, he said that maybe the team thought we had more pace than we actually had, and then obviously that gets hopes up. And a lot of the time this year, I think they go into qualifying looking strong, looking good, and then he goes out in Q2 or whatever format it is. So frustrating, but that car clearly isn't working. Even Charles as well, spinning, yes. But looping around of some description. So it's looked a handful all weekend. It's frustrating. It doesn't sound like they fully can put a finger on it either. And yeah, they're pretty despondent as a result.
Especially after Mexico, when he was P3 in qualifying.
Yeah, the most difficult thing I heard there was Charles Leclerc saying the car felt quite good. And when the car feels quite good and you're slow, you're in double trouble. I think Lewis will struggle to defend that because he would have had a light on the steering wheel as well about the double yellows. It was kind of damned if he did, damned if he didn't. He was desperately trying to get to the line, which didn't happen either, to start his final lap. So the Ferrari, we know, needs to run extremely low, and I'm thinking that the dips here particularly, and the bumps in general, meant they've had to lift that. And so it might be quite benign, but it just isn't fast enough.
And with Kimi Antonelli, P2, George Russell, P4, that constructors is probably going to swing back towards Mercedes, which won't be good news.
Swings and roundabouts with this championship battle, but yeah, really bad news for them. I think if they can take any sort of knowledge from today into tomorrow, but I agree with Martin. I think, especially after Lewis's moment in free practice, they lift that car and then, okay, it's a better race car than it is a quali car, but we know how important qualifying is as well here. So I think they are in a bit of a world of pain and could only hope that they've got races coming up that might be a bit stronger for them.
Talking of swings and roundabouts, Aston Martin. I know. Fernando Alonso, P5, Lance Stroll, P7. Credit to them. We've already spoken about the Mercedes engine and power unit and hybrid system they've got in the back, but let's hear from them.
Well, Fernando, a really good team result, if we could put it in those terms. Two cars high up there in qualifying. What fell into place, would you say, since you've come here?
Yeah, I don't know. Car felt good in FP1. We were P4, now we are P5. So definitely it seems that we started the weekend in the window of the operation of the car, and then yeah, with only one free practice, obviously if you start with the right foot, then everything becomes easier. So yeah, let's see tomorrow.
Can you go hold these positions or even threaten higher positions in the sprint itself? What do you think?
I don't know. If it was dry, maybe it was probably easier to hold the positions, but we expect a wet Saturday, so yeah, anything can happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Just finally, you gave the team a little bit of a pep talk, wanting to end the season strongly. Could a good result galvanise things? You want one before the year comes to an end.
Sure. I think yeah, today is it's a good boost for everyone. We are not giving up, and yeah, let's keep trying every day.
Thank you.
Lance, P7 for yourself, P4 for Fernando. That looked like a great session out there for Aston Martin today.
Yeah, it was good. The car was feeling good and some nice laps, so I enjoyed it.
Compared to Mexico, does it just feel like things are clicking a bit more this weekend? Is it as simple as coming
to... I don't know. I mean, it's still just the sprint qualifying, so we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah. And what's your thinking for the sprint race? That you can hold position, get a few points on the board?
That's the plan. Maybe some rain, though. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, Lance.
I think he's happy. You struggle to tell sometimes with Lance, but that's a happy Lance. And good for them also that Williams had a bit of a shocker today. What happened with Williams today? I mean, Carlos, I didn't really understand it. All I saw him was in the pit lane, walking past me, looking like a wet Monday morning with a toothache and a dentist. You fill in the details.
He outbraked himself into turn one.
Okay.
I think the Williams is very sensitive to tyre preparation, and from what I could kind of understand is his tyre preparation wasn't good. For whatever reason, his outlap was compromised and he wasn't able to get the tyres in where he needed them, goes into turn one, locks up, and yeah, disappointing day for him especially, but then also for Alex. I think we're maybe expecting at least one of them to get into the top 10, and yeah, both of them out and down further than where I think they would like to be.
Gesundheit. Bless you.
Cheese again, isn't it?
It is. Right, as well, as being a bad day for Williams and a good day for Fernando Alonso in that constructors fight. Another good, potentially point-scoring positions for Isaac Hadjar and for Nico Hülkenberg. Okay, they're out of the points at the moment in 9th and 10th, but creditable performances. So let's hear from Hülkenberg and Hadjar.
Isaac, through to SQ3. Feeling happy with that showing today?
Everything before SQ3 very good. SQ3 not so good with the soft. Yeah, we committed to 1 lap, and it was a learning lap, but that was the final one. So a bit gutted, but honestly not much left on the table.
How tricky is it balancing that, jumping from the medium to the soft?
It is. I mean, normally you just expect a bit more grip, and it seems like it's hard to finish the lap on the soft. I was more comfortable on the medium, so yeah, it's hard to go on a softer compound and have to drive slower.
What's your thinking for the sprint tomorrow? Can you move forward from where you are, get a couple of points on the board?
Yeah, definitely. We just need to move a couple of places. I mean, just 1 position and we're in the points, so we're in a good position. Last year the car in the rain was pretty fast. It will be my first time tomorrow around here, so let's see.
Pretty satisfied with that, getting into the final round of sprint qualifying?
Yeah, I think it was clean. Obviously, being 10th in SQ3 is never, the nicest thing, but I think there was not much more on the table. So, if I'm not wrong mistaken, I think it's the first kind of Q3 appearance, or SQ3, but whatever, top 10 appearance in quali this year. So, I'll take it and see what we can do tomorrow.
Yeah, it's something you've been talking about and working on, obviously, the qualifying performance. Listen, we know how good you are around here. Maybe some mixed conditions tomorrow. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I think obviously the forecast looks pretty wet at times. I hope, it's runnable. That's obviously always the question here. If you remember last year, which was obviously, too much rain, and then that's also no good. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we can, run and put on a good show for the fancy.
Well, just finally, looking ahead further. I mean,
you won 3, bro.
Well, sorry, just the battle that you're in the constructors. You maybe make a few more points if you can over the course of this weekend, because it is so tight.
No, but that's, goes without saying, and same for everyone in that fight. All to play for. The Astons, unfortunately, look pretty handy and quick around here, out of nowhere somehow. And we'll try to battle them, of course, but they do look quick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's pick up on what you said about the weather. Here's a nice game that you can play at home. Get onto your phone, go to your weather app, put in Sao Paulo and see what it says for tomorrow. And then where Nico Hülkenberg says, if it's runnable, which is a good point.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier on, didn't I, in this part of the show, saying, safety car starts or even getting underway is absolutely a good point, because, the topography of this place, the water does run down and run across the lower part of the racetrack as well. So you can't, if you're aquaplaning in these cars, you have to stop, basically.
The problem with last year was that we had the sprint race, got it out of the way, but then had the qualifying on the Sunday morning. Remember getting out of bed at 5 a.m. and coming to the circuit. If the weather is where we think it's going to be, they're going to run out of time on Sunday morning, because you might have to run the sprint race and the qualifying and the Grand Prix on one day, and I'm not sure we can do that.
I think the priority has to be qualifying in the Grand Prix. The sprint race maybe goes second to that, but hopefully, it's not an issue. The biggest thing also here is, even with just normal rain, without it being excessive, the challenge is this track is super tough when it's wet. So then you have red flags, you have delays, you have all these kind of other factors. So I think either way it's going to be exciting, but let's hope maybe the weather isn't as bad as we're all predicting.
Let's have an extra caipirinha tonight and then just worry about it when we get up tomorrow.
A lucky third caipirinha. Always a good idea. I mean, Spa showed that we don't really have Formula One races in the wet anymore, which is unfortunate. But then I suppose that Spa, this is different. As you said, they've diamond cut the surface with the running order, so maybe we won't have the standing water. The visibility will always be the thing as well. Just hope we can get it out.
It's normally the visibility that they complain about, isn't it? But I always think the throttle works both ways. But then I'm not sitting in it, but I have sat in it. And I have sat at Le Mans, where you can't see where you're going at 220 miles an hour. So, but that's how it is these days. Safety first.
Good. Okay. Well, join us to find out. We don't know what's going to happen, and neither do you, and neither does anyone here. It's up to the weather gods.